You know, and to be honest, like you get enamored by the brand. I mean, that's what I did, right? We had a number of options, and mine was, 7 or 8 years ago, where we didn't have quite the larger VCs that we do now have, who could write $20, $30 million checks, right? But the times have changed, and it's really important. So, I know we're both passionate about founders owning as much of their companies as possible throughout every stage, and so you got to hear Michael Hyde and his brother own north of 50%, right? To me, that's a success story, because the average successful founder of a venture-backed company at the exit only owns 7% of the company.
Yeah.
And if you've sold 93% of it to US investors, when you win a Spotlight Award and you sell your company for $1 billion,
Right.
we're
$930 million
right?
is going into all sorts of great things to further develop the US economy.
Think about that.
$70 million is staying in Canada.
Right? We need to manage, I'm going to say, the Canadian cap table, right? Founders owning the companies, employees owning the companies, Canadian investors owning the companies, right? I'm not saying don't take US capital.
100%.
Right?
I want to be clear that I'm not saying that either. I mean, there's like incredibly strategic.
Right.
I mean, we're sitting here knocking Sequoia. I mean, they're incredibly strategic, global, prestigious brand. I'm just saying that if you're a founder CEO that's, I think, spending 20% of your time raising capital, you should be doing it in Canada and the US and continuously doing it. And I'm not saying Canadian VCs should get any kind of better deal, right? A lot of Canadian founders say to me, well, I had to go to the US because the Canadian VCs were too slow. The Canadian VCs wouldn't give me the terms that I want, or the Canadian VCs that, like, that's just, if there's a competitive dynamic, I've seen Canadian VCs be very aggressive.
Right.
So that's on you. That's what I say back to founder CEOs. That's on you. You get Sequoia and Real to the table, and you negotiate a good deal for yourself. And I know Real will be just as, well, keep speaking for Janet now.
Yeah.
The Canadian VC will be really aggressive, right? If it's a great opportunity, like it's not, they can be very aggressive.
I agree. Listen, keeping capital, I'm looking at Michael as well at TSX, also a great option for Canadian companies to be able to raise capital from a Canadian investor group. Not only do you keep the money in Canada, but you protect your CPC status, right? You get your shreds, like there's a lot of advantages. So think it through when you do the long-term math, right? As you're making these decisions, right? These growth stage companies really do impact the ecosystem, decades from now. So be thoughtful about that decision.